Hello, and welcome to another speaker interview for the upcoming Book Direct show. In these interviews, we'll get to know our speakers, learning about their background and career paths, their thoughts on the Book Direct movement, and what they'll be teaching us at the upcoming conference. In tonight's speaker hot seat, I have our first techie. Yes, our first IT speaker who will be translating technology into plain English for you at the Book Direct show, highlighting the whys and the benefits of technology. With a background in IT and experience in property management, I'm saying hello to Andrew Jones from iPro Software. Hello, Andrew.
Hi there, Deborah. How are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show and having me this evening.
And thank you very
Good
much
to
for
see
your
you.
time. And you, and
No
you.
problem. No problem at all.
Good.
So you have to excuse me. I'm actually in my not quite gym kit, but my car is in the garage at the moment. So I'm cycling into work, and it's been rather wet here at the moment. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I'm not dressed up for this interview. So I do feel a little bit guilty about that. But
Oh,
never
we won't
mind.
hold it against you. It's all right. Our speakers are real people. It's all right.
Good stuff. Um, so
So,
yeah, go for it.
yeah. So, a background that includes IT and property management. Can you fill us in on the details of how you got started in both industries? Basically,
Yeah.
how did you get here? Where does it
No
start?
problem at all. So yeah, so I've always been technology. It's been my background from a kid. So I've always enjoyed working with computers and software, and how to use software within business. So when I started, I was selling software solutions
Mm-hmm.
for a company, and we were doing handheld devices. I don't know if you remember the PDA. So before smartphones, we had little PDA devices, and you could do quality checks, health and safety audits, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked for a company, and we sold software that did health and safety audits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I purchased the property then over in Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands, so which I still have today, and we rent that out. But it was bought specifically for holiday let, so I had no background in tourism at all
Mm-hmm.
until I decided that we needed to have our own little place in the sun, and we'd rent it out, and that would pay for it. So that got me into the industry. And at the time, because I was doing my job, I thought, oh, we'll end up buying a few properties and we'll kind of extend that way. But instead, I decided as we were renting it out that all of a sudden I started taking on more and more properties, and we were building a little holiday lets agency.
Mm-hmm.
And that was taking up all of my time. So that kind of got me into the industry. And I decided then with my brother-in-law, Ian, who you know,
Mm-hmm.
we decided to set up as a holidays off the back of that. And we started building a portfolio of villas around Europe. Canaries was our number one destination with Tenerife and Fuerteventura. And then we moved into Spain, Portugal, France, Croatia at the time. We did a bit of a big expansion working with property managers.
Mm-hmm.
So our model was always to book direct. We got the bookings, but the property managers were using us as the agent. So, we got the bookings for them, and they looked after our guests on arrival. So we had a very big portfolio that we grew to. Yeah, and we just kept scaling, but we did everything. We built our own website because of my technology. My background wasn't web design, but I had a friend who was very good at web design. So we utilized that resource there, and we used developers, and we tried different off-the-shelf packages, etc., and couldn't quite get what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you all know with the holiday lets industry, there's a lot. You in the olden days, I say the olden days, probably about 10 years ago. This is. um, it was lead based. It was like, oh, have you got this date available, or where do you recommend if I go to this country, what can I do? And so
Yeah.
everything was a lead based inquiry. And you'd get the lead, and we actually, because we were growing right in the early days, we used that as a way to build new connections. So
Mm-hmm.
we'd say, we've got all these leads, but we haven't got the properties, can you help us? And we'd find the properties that way, and then we'd get our partnerships in place. So that allowed us to scale our portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
um, but we needed a system that worked on leads on a lead basis. So we looked at CRM packages, we looked at vacation rental software, and in the end couldn't find exactly what we were looking for. So we built iPro. And we built it to use just for ourselves to begin with. But like technology has a habit of doing, prices escalated, costs escalated, the time to manage it and maintain it escalated. So we decided that actually this has worked. I mean, it's something that is built, but we have a choice now. Do we continue keeping it to ourselves, or do we actually take it to the market? And because of the relationships we had two clients that were really happy to, they saw what we had done, they saw how we had grown. They were like, yeah, let's, I'm happy to use this product. We'll put it into our business. And that was really successful as well. And they still use the system today.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided then to launch it as a new business.
Mm-hmm. Standalone business. Mm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we took it as a standalone product. And as I say, it was, because Azure was growing so much, we actually wanted to build it. We wanted to build iPro without having to be too hands-on, but
Mm-hmm.
the people that we hired didn't really work out. So in the end, that was our kind of moment where we said, right, let Andy, you go on to that business because you've been driving the technology side of it, and I'll continue running the Azure business. So that was Ian. So that's when we
Yeah.
actually kind of split. We still work together in some respects, but that was the opportunity then to have the two independent businesses, and we kind of separated them out.
Yeah.
And since that time, we've grown massively with iPro. We have a huge number of agencies that use the products both in Europe and in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of found our kind of position with those agencies that are looking to grow. So if you're kind of 20, 25 properties looking to grow to 100 plus, with our kind of ideal clients in the region of about 100 to 300.
Mm-hmm.
But we have some bigger agents where they're going up to 1,000 sort of plus properties as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's when you're at the agency level, you have to kind of, there's a lot of different controls that you have to put in the products with the user permissions and the ability to, for them to scale the different features that they need within the system. So it's, it's evolved massively, but it's been an exciting journey.
Yeah, sounds like it. Now, look, the attendees at the Book Direct Show, we're going to have a very, very broad range of experiences. So we might have people that only have one property or are just thinking about getting into the industry, right through to people with thousands of properties. So for those people who are just stepping into this industry or just, very, very early days for them, could you
Yeah.
please explain what a CRM is? And also,
Okay.
just very briefly, even just give us a definition of a PMS too.
Yeah,
Most of
no
us know
problem at
this,
all.
but for those new people, just for them.
No problem at all. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. So a software package allows you to have all of your customer data in one place. So for us, when we were building the product and building the business, and again, this works really nicely with Book Direct, that customer is the most valuable part of your business.
Mm.
If you just have a customer name and nothing else, you have no customer, you have no repeat business, you have no direct booking. They're going to go back to Airbnb and booking.com. So number one is when a booking comes in, you get the name, you get the telephone number, and you get the email address. That customer is your property, and you can freely market to them. If they ask not to receive any more marketing campaigns from you, then that's the GDPR, and you untick them, and they've now unsubscribed, and you have to rely on them coming back to you. But if they have booked with you, you are always within your right to send a transactional email to that particular person. So that's kind of a CRM in a nutshell. It does a lot more than that, but it's very core. That's what we're looking for.
Mm.
The PMS, property management system. So even if you've just got one property, I'm not saying iPro is the right product for you, but you should always have your own system. I hear stories where people are running their business from Airbnb. So
Mm.
they're actually using the Airbnb dashboard to run their business, which means that you have no ownership of any of the content of the data. It's all Airbnb's data. So if they suddenly switched off or change rules, your business is change rules. They did that recently. you're in I was going to swear, no, you were in trouble. There was a difficult challenge to overcome anyway.
Yeah.
So property management system, it allows you to manage everything to do with your bookings in one place. And there are many different choices, and it's basic point of view. If you've only got one property, you can easily run your business off a spreadsheet. And I saw some people have been raving about, is it Airtable? Is that the one? Which is like the fancy spreadsheet kind of thing. You can
Oh, I don't know.
you can do some, yeah, I think it's Airtable. I'm not 100% sure, but you could run your business from a spreadsheet and a calendar system, whether it be Gmail, Outlook, but you need something that you store all of your data in one central place.
Mm,
As you then scale, you want to make that a little bit smarter,
mm,
and you want to make it a little bit cleverer so that you don't have to remember, oh, I've got a new booking, let me add that email address to MailChimp and set them up on the onboarding program or sector. So that's when a PMS really comes into its own, because
mm.
it starts automating
Yeah.
all of that process for you.
I was going to
And
say,
from,
yeah,
go on.
automation. That's the benefit. You just hit the nail on the head. It helps automate.
Exactly. But you can't automate if you don't know what you want to do.
Mm, mm,
So you have to learn it the hard way. You
mm,
have to do the legwork first of all, and then you can automate. So for me, I would like to see that anyone who uses iPro, you can process a booking and that guest can stay in the property and leave the property. And in theory, the technology will do absolutely everything for you. You never have to speak to them.
mm,
However, again, with this is hospitality, not hospitality-less.
mm,
You
mm.
know, you want to speak to your guests, you want to communicate with them, so you should always build in that human touch.
Yeah,
But at the same time, when you're, it should be it's a positive thing rather than a chore. You know, you
yeah,
shouldn't have to be doing what we call maintenance calls, which
yeah.
is time consuming and chipping away at your profit.
Mm, mm, absolutely. Now, tech within this industry is booming and growing at such a fast pace. How do you see this, and where do you think it's going? And really, how much technology can this industry support?
A great question. Technology is going to continue growing and expanding.
Mm,
Um, but it's then a case of, you've got kind of the two sides. You've got the technology and you've got the human side and you've got the marketing side.
mm,
People buy from people. You know, when you're trying to do a book direct campaign, if you have two agencies, both have very similar properties and the prices are very similar, they're going to book with the agency they trust the most.
mm,
So, you know, it's kind of how you use technology to improve customer confidence is going to be a key thing.
mhm,
All of your maintenance side of things, you know, there's systems like doing properly, etc., that are going to automate all the connection stuff. You shouldn't have to. One of the things for me is that when a booking comes in, I shouldn't have to call people or manually send emails to let the people that need to know about the booking
mm,
know about the booking.
mm,
It's those bits that should be fully automated, but
mm,
anything to do with the guest, and this is what I explain to my clients, is that you should have it that a guest doesn't need to call you because you've automatically given them all the information they need to know, but you
mhm,
should make it very comfortable for them to pick up the phone. So, hey, if you need to chat this through, give us a call. Here's
mhm,
our telephone number to call one of your agents, or this is your account manager. You know, you make it very chatty and friendly so that they
mm.
can call you whenever they feel as if they haven't quite got the answer that they want,
Yeah,
or you're just dealing with a person that likes to talk to someone. I haven't got time to read all that, I just want to pick up the phone and ask you the question directly.
yeah,
So that's really where technology from a guest experience point of view is going to
mm,
continue to grow.
mm,
But then, you know, we've already got dynamic pricing, we've got revenue management. I know AGL Consulting are doing some really interesting things on people that haven't priced correctly. If I sort of put it bluntly, you know, they haven't realized the cost of actually processing a booking,
mhm,
and making sure that they're costing in all the additional things, because we do get difficult guests,
mhm,
and we get demanding guests, and actually, are they costing in, you know, those kind of requests that people put in, you know, people
mhm,
constantly changing dates, for example. If that just always comes out of your commission, your 15, 20, 25% has now gone down to 5% by the time you've costed everything in. So,
mhm.
um, you know, that's, as I say, technology will continue.
Yeah, yeah,
And, you know, I've really just scratched the surface with that answer, I
yeah,
think, because, you know,
yeah.
you can look at virtual tours, you can look at home automation, um, you know, privacy concerns. It's just
There is a
endless,
lot.
and it will continue. But smart
Yeah,
homes is a good one.
yeah,
And, you know, touchless things.
yeah,
Now with COVID-19, reducing touch points in a property,
yeah.
I can see massive changes there.
Mm, mm. So with so much choice available out there these days, how does a consumer make a decision? I mean, even PMS alone, you know, I heard 400, then I heard 600. Even choosing a PMS, how does one
Yeah.
decide?
All depends on the size and what you're trying to do. you know, where you want to be, how much you're growing. Are you a full service operator? And by that, I mean you do all the cleaning, the housekeeping, the maintenance, etc. Or are you just doing as a booking agent? Are they your own properties? You have to work out where you are right now.
Mm.
It also, people come at this from so many different angles. You know, are they using an email marketing program? Are they already using something like Asana, for example, a task management system? Are they used to using Slack? Are they used to using virtual phone systems, etc.?
Yeah.
Depending on what you currently use will actually determine what PMS or technology you decide to use.
Mm.
And what I always recommend, I did a really good blog post on this actually, because I'm guilty of signing up for everything and then only using 5% of it, because you think, oh, this is really good, I'll do this, I'll set it all up. But actually, when it comes down to the reality, it's too much admin to actually use it to get the benefit out of it. So you
Yeah.
don't use it. So for me, you always need to look at what am I doing today and what really bugs me about what I'm doing today.
Mm.
How can I improve it? And you take that one challenge and then you look at which software ticks the boxes. Or you look at what can I do to improve what I currently do without spending any money. Can I use Google Sheets, for example?
Mm.
Can I am I using the product that I'm currently using to the best of its ability? So we
Mm.
did a full audit on all of our clients actually, and realized that all this new stuff that we've been putting in, our clients weren't taking advantage of it.
Mm.
So we go back and we're doing retraining with all of the clients, showing them all the benefits, and we're doing a real focus on that over the last 3 months. So that was kind of our win over this
Mm.
quiet period, is going
Mm.
through all of this stuff that we've been putting into place.
Mm.
And so that's I've gone off piece a little bit, but that's another really important thing to do, is look at what you're doing today and what is really causing you problems, and evaluating that, and not necessarily then jumping straight into another product. You have
Yeah.
to go through an evaluation process.
Mm.
Once you're then happy that this is a problem that I must solve, I can't solve it myself, then you look for the PMS or the technology that will solve that problem.
Yeah.
And then you go from there. So it goes all the way back to, you know, what I said about working off a spreadsheet.
Mm.
If you don't do the legwork yourself, you
Mm.
don't know what problem you're trying to solve.
Mm.
And therefore, the new technology will not solve your problem. It will probably make your problems worse, and
Yeah.
you'll be £1,000 short in your bank balance, or whatever you've paid out with your
Yeah.
setup costs and so on.
It'll
So
it'll bring the problems to light, and then you say,
yeah.
"Oh, wrong technology."
Yeah, and you'll blame the product, but actually that you didn't know what you were trying to solve in the first place. So don't chase the shiny penny. There's lots of great products out there. They do lots of great things,
Yeah.
but if you don't use them properly,
Yeah.
you will not get the results that you're being sold.
Yeah.
And so you really have to look at what you're doing. And it those again, everything is based on profit. Unless someone gives you a lump sum of money, you
Mm.
can't do everything perfectly from day one. So it's the
Mhm.
same kind of thing with technology.
Mm.
If you've got plans of having 100 properties, go for a more expensive PMS from the beginning,
Mm.
because but also know what your process is. So kind of, you know, make sure you get something that is scalable. Don't
Yeah.
go for something then that you spend a year on and is going to be harder to migrate to.
Mm.
However, just on that, I mean, migrations now are much easier.
Mhm.
The pain for people moving from a system to another PMS is much easier with migration scripts and so on.
Mhm.
So we do make that as easy as possible. But if you've got a bigger team, it's better to have the process right. Sorry, if you're starting out with bigger plans, you get the process right from day one. It's going to make it much easier and faster for you to scale. I think
Yeah.
that's the key thing, because if you bring someone on and you have to do lots of kind of ad hoc processes because the software doesn't do what you want in one go,
Mm.
you have to train people with all these ad hoc processes. That
Mm.
makes it more complicated for you to scale your business.
Mm. True. Yeah. So you said you got into the industry, property management, about 10 years ago, was it?
Yeah, it was about 13 years ago, 10, 13
Okay.
years ago with them.
So my next question was going to be, how did you first hear about the book direct movement and direct booking? So I'm assuming that because you're sort of old school, this is how we all started. It was all sort of direct
Exactly.
bookings and control.
Yeah.
So is
So
that where
for
you,
us,
yeah.
so we Home Away and Owners Direct and Holiday Letting. So before they were bought out by TripAdvisor and Home Away and taken away from this lovely subscription model,
Mm.
That was how we generated leads and inquiries.
Mm.
And then our focus was always about how we can get the repeat bookings directly through us. So, once they had inquired, that email address and that name was our property,
Mm-hmm.
and we could freely market to them, contact them, and get them booking our property. So we were very proactive. So for me, the book direct movement is really just about being proactive.
Mm.
There is nothing wrong with getting your leads from other sources,
Mm.
and that still to this day, Airbnb and booking.com, if that guest books with them once, sorry, with you through that source once, that is you getting a new lead for the next booking, and then they should then book with you next time, and so on. If they book with you again via Airbnb and booking.com, your book direct strategy is failing.
Mm.
um, because it's nothing new. Even, when we were with holiday rentals, and this is me going back to being on the agency days, people would still say, yeah, I booked with holiday rentals, or, and you, every time you have to convince them, or not convince them, you have to explain to them that actually, no, that's a platform, a marketing platform, and you've booked with us at holidays, for example.
Mm.
Which is our agency.
Mm.
So it was nothing, we've always worked on that basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, the book direct movement is encouraging people, and it's escalated now because there's fees involved. There's a percentage involved, I mean, booking.com have always done it, but they've always been with hotels, and it's
Mm.
only in maybe the last 5 years that the vacation rentals have really grown with them.
Mm.
um, but to take such a large chunk of the booking value, when they are only really providing you with they are providing a booking now because of instant book, but it's still just a contact, a lead, that you have to then work with to become a lifetime customer,
Mm.
is very expensive, and it's very expensive for the guest, and it's also it's taking the money outside of the location where that property is confirmed. If you've got a local agency, normally all of that income from the booking would be taxable for the local government. Airbnb don't pay their taxes, so that 20% is taken out of the UK economy or the European economy, wherever the property is, American economy.
Mm.
So yeah, it's the whole thing has escalated,
Mm.
and the idea of them getting you bookings is good, but as a business, and this
Mm.
is where the direct booking movement comes in, you
Mm.
want to get them booking with you directly next time.
Mm.
And as a business, you have your own campaigns in place, your own technology in place that allows you, that if you call me now and say, Andy, I want to book one of your villas, or you call Ian more likely, but you call Ian and say, Ian, I want to book one of your villas, he can process that booking immediately over the phone. He doesn't say to you, yeah, Deborah, go on to
Yeah.
book Airbnb number 1 2 3 4 and pay through there. He
Yeah.
takes it all directly into the system, and then of course iPro updates all the channels and everything, and everything is updated immediately.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
direct booking movement.
Yeah. And do you think the direct booking movement then came to be because of the expense, because of the high commissions?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is one of the things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of what I see, because I think as a business and as an agency, I mean, we've got our UK market, for example, they're the other side of the coin. They're
Mm-hmm.
literally 95% of their bookings would be classified as direct.
Mm.
And we're convincing them to use the OTAs, because of course the younger generation are going onto Airbnb apps,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're not going onto Google. So
Yeah.
they're not even looking, then they're not even going to, if they're not on those places, they're not even going to get seen. So, there is a slightly different argument on that side.
Mm.
But in terms of the direct booking, because of the fees, I think it's just got too expensive, and we are going to be in a situation, if we don't stand up and challenge it,
Mm.
where there was a huge outcry with the hotels. There's booking.com making huge amounts of money, but hotels paying all these fees out to them, but struggling to actually make a profit at the end of the day by the time they've done all their costs. And
Yeah.
that's why the direct booking movement is so important.
Yes.
um, it has to let the mass public know that
Mm.
if, when they book through these platforms, they are paying a much higher price than what they would do if they book direct.
Yeah. Yeah. As I said in another interview, the hashtag Book Direct Day came about as a way to educate guests that they are paying fees, and the fees that everyone's paying are usually going offshore. And I think now with the Book Direct movement and with more people getting involved and learning, it's up to us to educate those guests. You know, when you say that that guest arrives from an OTA just once, that guest should be yours, and that guest should be aware that if they go and book on another platform, they're going to be paying fees, or not with booking.com, but then the owner or the hotel or, you know, the manager is paying exorbitant commissions there.
Yep.
So yes, we have to educate. Yeah.
Well, it takes out, because I mean, again, from an agency perspective as well, and you know, with COVID-19 now, and we're looking at quality controls and standards, etc. Even if it wasn't saving the guests money by booking direct, that extra revenue that comes into an agency or to an owner
Mm,
allows them to make the whole experience so much better. You know,
mm,
just taking 15-20% out of the industry and gone into a different area, that's a
mm,
huge amount of money that you could actually provide a much better service for your guests. So
mm,
even if it's, you don't want to save, you don't want to give the savings to the guests, but you're actually going to increase the value, increase the experience that they have. Yeah, making people aware of these extra costs is so important.
absolutely. So what is your definition of a direct booking? There are a couple of definitions out there. What's yours?
Interesting. So for me, a direct booking is that you have booked directly through the, because we don't work with owners. So I know that, so us is about the agency that have exclusive control of the properties. They get a booking through their website over the phone. That is a direct booking.
Mm-hmm.
Booking, even though they could have found the property on Airbnb, booking.com, they've now found it at the source and they've booked it directly there. So for us, it is about booking directly with the managing agent,
Mm-hmm.
who has the rights to rent that property.
Okay. And what is one word that you would use to describe the value of a direct booking? Or what's one word that sums up the benefit of a direct booking?
Control.
Mm-hmm. Good word. And you'll be talking about tech to drive more direct bookings at the Book Direct show. So can you tell
Yep.
us a little bit more about what you're going to be teaching us?
So for me, it's obviously going to be around how to use PMS, how to use the technology to have the ability to take direct bookings so that you don't send them to the Airbnb link and booking form. So how can you actually have the ability with technology that's available, some really easy, cheap technology as well that you can sign up for with very little restrictions, you can sign up and take bookings over the phone. And you can take the payments, and how you can then automate what needs to be automated. So, you know, like Airbnb and Booking.com are very good at keeping in touch with their guests. They will constantly send emails, and probably at the moment, without technology in place, you'll be like, oh, I've forgotten to send that email. Oh, hang on a second, let me update the spreadsheet to say I've sent that email. And all these manual things that you'll forget to do, technology will automate that for you. So for me, technology is available right now. Even if you've only got one property, you can provide the same technology that Airbnb provides with just one property. If you've got 5, 10, 15, 20, you do not need Airbnb and Booking.com to have the same technology that they have. It is available for every single owner and agent today.
So this is a bit of a cheeky question, Andrew. The hospitality and the IT industries are a bit like chalk and cheese in terms of the personality required for them. Do you agree? Do you see it like that? Are you a developer, or do you more create the product? You said you've always tinkered with IT.
Yeah. So I'm creative from that side of things, which is interesting because I'm quite analytical. So, but I definitely am more creative. So I just do the product design rather than the
Okay.
actual the developing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think in the hospitality industry we do get quite a good mix of characters.
Yeah. Now I'm only asking
So
because when I designed mine, I was warned about developers, and you're like, they're not human. Don't speak to them. They don't, you know. And I was like, oh. And
I'm like
some
the
men are
go
okay.
yeah, the go between. So I'll
Yeah,
be able to translate to the developers,
yeah.
and then translate back to us mere mortals.
So I was going to ask, was there some job in your work history from way back that gave you an experience or a skill that you brought with you into either the property management or the IT industry? Any job from your youth, perhaps? Any recurring theme?
Not, not really. I just how my career kind of grew. I started off in tech, moved into doing training, product training.
Mhm,
Then moved into sales,
mhm,
and it was really just then moving into sales that gave me. I was always, you know, ambitious and looking for the best way of doing things, the
mhm,
smart way of doing things. So
mhm.
when I was in sales, that just kind of improved my business intelligence and kind of, you know, oh, if we do this, so we get this in, and then we do this, and the clients like that, so we can do this. So that just gave me the initiative and the desire to go and then purchase my own property. um, and I've been lucky, really, in regards to how well that went. You know, I've always had good guests. I've always had good people looking after the property,
Mhm,
and we enjoyed doing the rentals ourselves as a little side business, etc. And
mhm.
we didn't really have, you know, I can't really count any bad experiences of that. So
Yeah.
because I had such a sort of a clear road, you know, then I was happy to set up the agency. We had more challenges as we went bigger. We did then come across a few not so nice guests,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, you know, you learn from all of that, and you know, you go from there. But the technology was always kind of part of it, and you know, I was always looking at how we can use technology.
Yeah.
So we didn't get finance or anything like that. We didn't get big investors backing us, so we weren't kind of going to town on our technology. We had to work smart. We had to try and find the technology at the right price that we
Mhm,
could tinker with, that we could tweak, that would give
mhm,
us the results that we were looking for. So we were
mhm.
kind of always looking in that area, and yeah, my experience helped with that.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
and and was there any job that you had that we would be surprised to hear you'd had or shocked? Was it always IT, always sales, or anything like when you were a kid?
yeah, I've only other than I worked in a chicken factory.
Chicken factory.
A
Okay, that's
chicken
a random
factory.
job.
Yeah, and I did. I was the best brick, not a bricklayer, but we sold bricks. So I worked in the factory, and I
Mm.
was the best brick stacker as
Oh,
they came through the conveyor belt. Yeah, but other than that, I just went after uni. I went straight into my job, and that my first job that I got there.
yeah.
Yeah, I stayed there for how many years was that? 10 years. Yeah, I was there
Okay.
with them for 10 years,
Yeah.
and then I set up my own business.
Yeah. I think best brick stacker. It's a bit tricky to say. I think that one.
Yeah.
That's an
Well,
unusual job.
you
Someone's got to
just
do
brought
it.
back, you flashed back some memory there. I remember the chap coming, tapping me on the shoulder, and he said, "You better slow down because you're making us look bad." As I was this 16-year-old kid, and I was using it as a workout. I thought, well, this is boring as hell. Let me just do it as fast as I can, and I'll actually have some exercise at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, great.
I was showing up the regulars, so I had to be put down a peg or two.
Yeah. So to wrap up, second last question actually, but winding up, can you give me 3 words that describe you?
3 words that describe me.
Mm.
So ambitious is definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm passionate and ethical. No, I
Excellent.
do like to do. You know, I don't always get things right, but whatever I do from the right place. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the decision has come from the right place, but sometimes, you know, you don't always get everything right, but you do it from the right place, and you try and get it right for both. Well, not just both people, for everyone involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Last question is the random question. Now, let me see how many I've got left. 29. I have 29 random questions. Pick a
Okay.
number between 1 and 29.
Okay, let's go for 26.
Right. What is the most useless talent you have?
Oh my word. My most useless talent. Um,
It's a
yeah,
trick
these things
question.
are not. Yeah, these are not my cup of tea questions.
Sorry.
Um, Useless talent. I mean, I'm pretty useless at most things.
Oh,
My wife would definitely agree with that. Um, well, the kids will probably have a good one for me.
dancing.
Um, yeah, definitely dancing.
What would
They
they tease you
certainly
about?
dancing and singing. Yeah, I'm a terrible singer, and
Okay.
yeah, my wife hates me singing actually. And I purposely sing when she knows I'm singing. I sing even worse, just to yeah. Yeah, so that would be it. Singing. Let's go for singing.
Okay, fair enough. That's great. Andrew, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Lovely.
Yes, it's been a pleasure chatting, and I look forward to hearing all you have to say about technology at the Book Direct Show at your session. Really looking forward to
Fantastic.
it. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time, Deborah. It's been a pleasure.
And you, thank you, Andrew. Bye.
Take care. Bye then. Bye.
Bye.